In this video, I'm going to give you the tools to play better pickleball. If you're watching this, I assume that you're someone who's looking to improve. But to be the best possible player, you need to have a crystal clear understanding of all the shots that we're about to go through. If you're just getting started, then these shots will be fundamental in helping you break that beginner hump. If you're a more experienced player, think of this video as a checkup to make sure that you have all these in your toolbox. There's one shot in here that I've never talked about before on the channel, so make sure to stay tuned. If you're a beginner, this has probably happened to you. You're standing at the kitchen line, volleying like a pro, when all of a sudden, the other team lobs and the ball goes straight over your head. You stick your paddle up in the air, but it's already too late. You try to run for the ball, but at this point, it's so far away that not even Usain Bolt could get there quickly enough. Don't worry though, it's very common for beginner players to have trouble defending lobs. What you need to figure out is a shot called the overhead or the smash. The overhead smash looks something like this. The two main areas that players get wrong on their overheads is how they hit the ball and how they move to the ball. When you hit your overhead, you want to start with your shoulders turned and your elbow back like you're throwing a ball. This will give you way more power. Do not pancake it like this. If the ball's behind you, you'll actually need to turn and run like this. Put that all together and you'll be smashing overheads like it's nobody's business. So as a quick question, which one of these is the proper form? Correct. Here I have my elbow back and I'm using the right footwork. And because it's so hard for players to respond to lobs, the lob is a shot that I want to make sure you have in your toolbox. There's no better feeling than getting the ball over your opponent's head and watching them turn and run like chickens. Just know that if you're playing with older players or people who can't move very quickly, this shot can literally be a game changer. Be careful though not to use it too much or your partners may stop responding to your messages asking them to play. When it comes to lobbing, just know that you'll have more success the closer you're standing to the kitchen. If you're all the way at the back of the court, lobs can still work, but you don't have quite as good of an angle and your opponents will have more time to react. Looking at the height of the lob, try to go just high enough to where they can't reach it. If you go too high, then it'll give them more time to back up and use an overhead. And don't use this play too often or your opponents will get used to it. Think of it as more of a surprise attack. So for a quick rapid fire question, where's the best spot on the court to hit a lob from? Correct, the kitchen line. If you and your opponents are at the kitchen line, then you have the best possible angle to make the ball go over their head. This next shot though is the number one thing that I see beginners messing up. If your serve looks something like this, or this, or this, and it makes you feel like this, then I'm here to help. Just know that a good toss will be the number one thing that makes your serving consistent. Try not to toss it up in the air so that you have to chase it. Instead, face your hand down and drop the ball straight into your ideal contact point. In terms of how to hit the serve, the main serves that I see players switching between are the hard topspin, the screwball, and the lob serve. Just know that most players see the hard topspin serve as the default option. The number one determinant to your success on your serve though is your depth. The farther you can get the ball in the court, the more difficult it will be for your opponents to hit a good return. So for our next rapid fire question, which of these serves showcase me using the right tossing technique? Correct. In this video, I'm dropping the ball straight to the center of my paddle, which allows me to consistently make clean contact with the ball. But while serving is super important, one of the most neglected shots that I see in pickleball is the return. The biggest mistake that pickleball players make in their returns is they hit them exactly the same way they hit their ground strokes. Do not do this. Because the serve is already coming at you pretty fast, there's no need to take a big swing. This will only make it harder to time the ball. You should try to use a blocking motion like this. Also, you should try to have your body weight going forward through the ball. Moving forward through the ball will help you get more power, and it'll also make it easier to immediately get to the kitchen line. If you're just starting out, it's important to remember that the goal after the return is to get to the kitchen line immediately. The longer that it takes you to get there, the easier making the third shot for your opponents. So remember to always try and get to the kitchen line as quickly as you can. And as a rapid fire question, I want to ask you guys where you think the best spot to hit your return is. Correct, you want to go deep. As a bonus tip, it can also help to try and aim for the weaker player on the other team. And if you're just getting started on your pickleball journey, you're in the right place. Studying the game like this will skyrocket your results. I make a new informative video just like this every week, so make sure to subscribe so that you're notified. Think of how much better you'll be in 6 months when you have that much more knowledge for the game. And trust me, if you think pickleball is fun now, just wait till you're winning more and beating all your friends just like I do.
I literally just beat you right before this.
Cut. But in my opinion, guys, the most important skills to develop when you're starting off are strong volleys and quick reactions. You should be able to go this fast at the net. Just kidding. But it'll help you a ton to be able to handle harder shots at the kitchen. It's also crucial to know where to place your volleys when you're at the kitchen. I see so many rec players at our facility that look shocked when a hard ball gets hit at them. You want your opponents to feel like they're playing a brick wall that they can't get anything by. The first step to doing that is having a strong ready position with your paddle out in front, like this. Always wait in this position with a wide base and with bent knees. You also need to make sure that you have the right grip. Most players use the continental grip on their volleys, which keeps their paddle perfectly up and down in the center of their body. Your forehand and backhand volley should be hit on opposite sides of the paddle. You don't want to use the windshield wiper technique, which looks like this. This grip's put you in the best possible position to react. In terms of where you should hit the ball, if your opponents are back, it's your job to try and keep them back. Do this by hitting deep volleys to them right at their feet. If they're up, you can stun them by going at the right shoulder, down the middle, or at their feet. You always want to be intentional with your ready position and where you're aiming your volleys. And as a bonus tip, who do you think should take this volley in the middle here? Correct, this player. The player who will have a forehand should take the ball in the middle. Since most players are usually righty, that will generally be the person standing on the left side. Next up, we have the infamous third shot in pickleball, or the shot that the serving team hits after the return. If you've watched high-level pickleball, then you may have seen something like this.
Pro Baltimore Country Club.
And been like, why would anyone ever hit the ball so slow? Most beginners generally try to go really hard in their third shot, which looks something like this. As someone who came from tennis, all I wanted to do was hit every ball as hard as I could when I started. It wasn't until I got wrecked by two of my mom's friends that I knew I needed to change my tennis ways. Just know that the two main types of shots that you can hit from the back of the court in pickleball are the drop, where you hit the ball in the kitchen, and the drive, where you try to hit the ball hard. While most beginners use the drive, the drop is the shot that will help you beat higher level players down the line. This is because the drop makes it a lot easier to move forward. If you're driving the ball, good players will be able to slam the ball at your feet and you won't be able to move forward. A well-hit drop forces the other team to have to hit the ball up, which gives you a golden ticket to the kitchen. To hit a good drop, use a compact swing like this and give the ball some arc. Try to aim near the back line of the kitchen. Don't get me wrong though, guys. Drives will work very well for you if you're just getting started, so keep using them if you already are. Just make sure that you're keeping them low if you can. So remember, what you do after you hit a good drop in pickleball. Correct. After you hit a good drop, you want to go straight to the kitchen so that you can take over with your dinks and volleys. If you hit a really good third shot, you may even get your opponent to pop up the ball. If you can anticipate this, you can run in and crush it like this. There's no formal name for this shot, but I've heard some people call it the crash. At higher levels, this opportunity won't arise as often, but if you're just getting started, you'll see tons of opportunities to crash the net. The key is that you anticipate the right times to move forward. The two instances you can crash are off of a drop and a drive. If you hit a good drop and your opponent's off balance, there's a chance they might pop it up. Because you should already be moving in off your drop anyway, this presents the perfect opportunity to smash the ball right at your opponent's feet. Off the drive, you need to be a little more selective as to when to move forward. I would only rush the net if you feel like the drive is really good. This means that it's low and hard. If both of these are true, and your opponents aren't super good at responding to drives, then there's a good chance that they might pop the ball up and give you the chance to pounce. So where's the best place to attack if you crash? All three are good options. The key is that you pick the right target depending on the situation. The fact of the matter is that once beginner players arrive at the kitchen, most of them are totally clueless. If you fall into that category, you might not fully understand why when high-level players are at the kitchen, they do that little dinking thing. Why wouldn't they just hit it hard, right? The reason is, if the ball is really low and close to the net, if you hit it hard, it will go up. This means that you either hit the ball out or give your opponents a high ball that they can kill. So the goal of dinking is to try to get your opponent to give you a high ball that you can kill. When it comes to technique, you want to be loose and use a short, compact motion. Don't be the guy that's taking huge backswings. Try to get all of your power from your shoulder. No wrist, no elbow. And a common misconception, where do you think you should hit most of your dinks? Correct. So by going cross court, you actually give yourself a lot more space because you can hit the ball way farther. See how much longer of a line you could draw across court? So try your best to take your dinks cross court when you can. And if you're looking to take your dinking game to the next level, we created the Dink Pad and Dink Master so that you can play pickleball whenever you want. Have you ever been antsy at home just wanting to hit a few balls? Or maybe you just wanted to get a quick warm-up in before your next game. Regardless, head to the link in our description and you can check them out today. And if you want to watch a more in-depth video on dinking strategy, watch this.